Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Shooters, hunters, and outdoor enthusiasts, Emax Tactical has you covered. We offer specialty, exotic, and vintage ammunition you won't find anywhere else. Plus, field medical kits and civilian legal training. Emax Tactical is passionate about helping customers find exactly what they need. 90% of orders go out the same day. Visit Emax Tactical online and use code TODD for 10% off your first order. Visit us at emaxtactical.com. EMACStactical.com.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
That is right, my friends. Hour 2 of today's program, and we've been talking about how the Democrats are making the 2026 campaign. I know we're still way away from that, but all these narratives are an attempt for the left to try to figure out what's going to stick to give them a chance at 2026 to regain the House potentially, to regain the Senate potentially. Hopefully they do not. But right now, the front runner for the left, if you watch their behavior, the front runner for the campaign slogan for 2026 is protect criminal illegal alien gang members at all costs. That appears to be what they are doing. That's what we've been talking about. Trump is trying to get these criminal illegal alien gang members, Tren de Aragua. Again, the worst of the worst, my friends, out of this country. The left, the deep state, the government, the bureaucratic state is trying to do their best to prevent that from happening. And listen, I understand there's questions. I am more than happy to have the debate and the questions. But to constantly be on the side of criminal illegal aliens, that's on the opposite side of the American people. So, all that being said, that's where we're headed this hour, my friends. Before we get started, let me ask you this. Are you in sales? I know many of you have lots of different jobs and professions and so forth, but many of you are in sales. So if you are in sales, do you have a system? If you don't, you're leaving money on the table, my friends. That's why I'm such a big believer in Matt Easton and Easton University. Matt has developed what I think is a truly remarkable and incredible sales training system. I would go as far to say it is the best that I may have ever seen. I mean, we've used this before here at our program. It's practical, it's proven, it's designed to help deliver results. And I think whether you're new to sales or you're a seasoned professional, the system will help you close more deals, make more money, and take control of your career. So if you become a student of Easton University as a listener of this program, you got to do it through the link I'm about to tell you. But if you do it through our link here, which there's a couple ways, but I'll give you the easiest one now, toddhuffshow.com/Easton for Easton University, toddhuffshow.com/Easton, and that's spelled EASTON. If you become a student, he's going to jump on a call with you to walk you through your sales challenges, personal call, welcome call. He doesn't normally do this. He will do this for you as a listener of this program. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. To claim that personal call, become a student today. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. Take, my friends, the first step today. You will not regret it. All right. So, picking up where we left off last hour, we were summarizing this law that was written and passed in 1798. We talked about how the left will say, well, that law is too old. I, my friends, am unaware of laws having an expiration date. We spent a little bit of time last hour talking about that not all change is good change. We talked about how that was, in fact, the reason why God himself does not change. You know, as human beings, we can change. We can make improvements. It's not easy to change. We might have to change our habits, our diet, our exercise. We might have to change our habits in our profession to get more efficient and better. Whatever it is, change is not always pleasant, but change implies that I've not hit the target yet. I need to change things to achieve what I'm trying to accomplish. If something hits the mark, any change, if something is perfect in the sense of God from a Christian or philosophical religious perspective, God is perfect. Any change that God makes implies that he's not perfect. He might use different tactics with people over time, but he himself does not change. He cannot change. Changing means that something was not perfect the first time around in his actual nature. The same is true with things that we have established or accepted as truth this side of heaven. For example, the freedom of speech. That's a good thing. If we were to change that, and of course the left is on a constant mission to stop this one, but if we were to change that in any conceivable way or any substantive way, we would be acknowledging, we would be actually making a step in the wrong direction. We would be moving from something that we found to be true and good and moving in a direction that is not as good. So that particular change would not be good. Free markets are a good thing. To have a government move more control and have a more command and control hand in our economy would not be good, would not be prudent, as George H.W. Bush would have said years ago. And so that change would not be good. There's all sorts of change to the moral code would not be good. Now, there's a lot of things that don't fall under that category, so change can be good or it can be bad. But any change in and of itself is not a good thing. It is immaterial until you determine what the change is and how that actually matters. And so if this law is rooted upon good, logical concepts and thinking, if it makes sense, this law that was good in 1798, there's no reason to believe it's wrong in 2025. So that's what Trump and his team, I've gone through the key provisions, but they've said this is the basis by which they're deporting these gang members from Tren de Aragua. Remember, these are the gang members. These are the people that the left have prevented from being deported. Jasmine Crockett, I played her soundbite in the last hour talking with Jake Tapper of CNN. She said there's laws on the books. There's processes by which we're supposed to follow. Newsflash, Ms. Crockett, this is a law on the book. Now, you can say that it doesn't apply to this particular situation, which this judge has done. Or at least the judge is saying there needs to be a 2-week pause so we can figure this out. A period of time where we stop and, not have irreparable harm done to people who might be affected by this law and so forth. We can have that argument. But for Jasmine Crockett to say there's laws on the books and there are processes in place, this is one of those. This is absolutely one of those. You can say it shouldn't apply, but you have to say why. So let's look here. Going back to the summary, this is the law. It's called the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I've gotten a 1-page summary here that I've pulled together, and so I'm going to pick up here. Implementation and effects. While the act was not heavily enforced immediately after its passage, it set a precedent for the treatment of foreign nationals during wartime. Its most notable applications came during World War I and World War II. By the way, this has been enforced 3 times throughout American history, back, I think, in 1812, and then World War I and World War II. But back to the summary here. When it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, and Italian nationals. So, it was apparently the basis upon which the Japanese internment was potentially used. Doesn't mean that every use of the law is good or appropriate or whatever. What matters is, what does the law say? Does it apply here? And is this a justifiable exercise of that law? So that's the question here. Trump is saying, look, we haven't declared war, but the law is not written to be so tightly construed that I don't have any sort of discretion, because there's also it gives me the ability to detain or deport non-citizens from hostile nations. These people are going back to Venezuela. It's not a time technically of war. I think Trump could say, in a sense, it's an undeclared war, but the law maybe doesn't allow that. But it does allow me to act if an invasion is threatened. We've been witnessing an invasion. How else are they here? Why are we letting them in? They weren't invited here. These are people, in some cases, that have been released from prison. I mean, listen, these are the worst of the worst. These are not good, decent people. These are not people that were caught up in some technicality. These are some really, really bad people coming across our southern border that are bringing drugs and violence and crime and, assault and rape and murder. I mean, the worst of the worst, my friends. The summary that I pulled together also says the Alien Enemies Act has had a lasting impact on U.S. legal and political frameworks concerning national security and immigration. It has influenced subsequent legislation and executive actions, particularly in times of conflict. Now you'll see that word being used instead of war, but conflict. In the post 9/11 era, the principles underlying the act have been echoed in the new security measures and legislation such as the U.S. Patriot Act. The act continues to be a point of reference in contemporary debates about the balance between national security and civil liberties. But here's the issue. Let me pause there. The issue is, so this is an interesting thing for me. When you think about the Constitution declares that we have our rights and our liberties from God. But the Constitution was written for the American people. Anyone that's not a naturalized citizen, anyone who's not someone who's just naturally a citizen of the United States of America, can't just come in if they feel like it, right? Marco Rubio talked about this the other day when he was talking specifically about. In fact, I might play that. I'll go ahead and play this. This is not related directly. Marco Rubio was talking about Mahmoud Khalil, who is a green card holder who came to this country, who is now basically stirring up things on campuses, pro-Hamas, actually pushing in the direction of Hamas, which of course Hamas is a terrorist organization. Marco Rubio was on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan. Yes, that Margaret Brennan. And this is a different situation here. Here we go. Sorry, it was playing in my ear. This is a different scenario, a different story, but it's the same sort of thing. So you have people that are here in this country that are here by the invitation or the acceptance of the United States of America. And so Marco Rubio's argument is, hey, American citizens, we have the constitutional protections, the Bill of Rights that protect us. But if you're here, if we have made you an invitation to bring you here, as we have, again, I'm shifting gears here, I know, but just for the sake, it's similar enough to where I think it applies to the broader context of what's happening with Trin de Aragua and with Mahmoud Khalil, which is, look, if you're not an American citizen, you're here based upon the United States welcoming you here. You're here by our good graces. You have no natural right to be here. And so if you start behaving in ways that violate that invitation, that basically would cause us If we knew these things before you came here, which is what Rubio is going to say here about Mahmoud Khalil, if Mahmoud Khalil would have said, hey, I'm here to push Hamas and terrorism on college campuses, shut things down, make the Jewish students on campus not even be able to attend class. I'm here to take these things over and to push a rabid anti-Israel, anti-Semitic message and all of that, we wouldn't have let him in. And so he got the green card, and now he's out there doing the things that we never would have allowed him to come in if he was doing beforehand, if he would have been upfront and honest about what his intentions were here in this country. And so if he's not going to live up to that standard, then we're going to then kick his hind end to the curb. We're not going to stand for this any longer. And so likewise, if you're not, if you're a member of Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang, violent, criminal, murderous, drugs, all this violence, if you're in that, and you are threatening the United States, and it's an invasion, and it meets the criteria, men over the age of 14, there's an invasion, a threat of an invasion coming from that, the president has discretion to say, this select group, I've identified who they are. They're on the fast track out of this country. All the appeals and all the legal stuff that's going to apply to other deportation hearings, that's not going to be the case because this is a special example. These folks pose a specific and, a quantifiable harm to the United States. It can be something that we can explain and tell you why they shouldn't be here. They're killing our people. They're moving drugs in. They're taking over apartment complex. They're causing people to live in terror. They are bringing violence and destruction and death and all this stuff. All coming from a country. It's an invasion of sorts, and that's the position. So Rubio also says with Mahmoud Khalil, it's the same general sort of thing. If you're going to disagree, if you're going to behave in ways that would have prevented you, if you told the people during your application for the green card, if you're going to behave in ways that would have prevented you from getting that green card, once you're here, we're going to revoke it. That's basically what is being said. So I want to play that soundbite because there's commonalities and similarities here. I don't want to get down the Mahmoud Khalil path too far, but I do want to talk about how these kind of concepts or the administration's position on these issues, who should be here and who they can forcibly remove, kind of the mindset behind it. You don't have to agree with this, but at least understand what their position is. Here's this conversation with Margaret Brennan.
Of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. You should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
They
vandalize colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down
I'm
colleges.
asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence or material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it.
Now, that's again Mahmoud Khalil, but it's the same general idea. You just can't come here. It can't be viewed. We would be foolish to allow people who come to this country to simply have some sort of a ruse and a scheme to slip past our defenses, then become a part of it, and then for us to say, we can't do anything about it now, right? If they would have said to us, if Tren de Aragua would have come to the southern border and gone through the port of entry, and they said, what are you here for? And they said, well, we are criminal gang members. We're here to take over cities, apartment buildings. We're here to wreak havoc upon families, young women, people in this country, and we would like to come in. We would say no, right? We would say no. It's not the same as someone who came in and then someone committed a crime. This is an invasion. They are coming in as gang members. They are coming in as people who are here to basically to just burn the place down, metaphorically, to live in their violent way of existing, hurting and harming, killing, destroying the lives of Americans. And so Trump says, listen, this meets the criteria, they're going to be sent home. The left is defending this. The left, and listen, I want to follow the law. It's abundantly important to me that the law is followed here. But what the idea, take away the details of the law. You know, I always find this, and I remember years ago talking to people when I was in college. We would talk about just kind of the philosophy behind these laws. I used to ask people, do you not murder because it's against the law or because it's morally wrong, right? And the law is written by men to reflect the way that we're trying to, alleviate or to correct for a wrong or try to prevent something from happening, right? The law is written because we recognize out here in life, just life as it exists without any government, just there's a moral law, there's right and wrong. And so it's easy to say things that are morally wrong should be against the law if they're directly, of course, harming another person and so forth, affecting someone else's ability to live. If it's just affecting you, then there's a different discussion, I guess, for that. But the point is that we have this, the law that is written to coincide with the natural order of things. The moral law is easy for us to understand. You don't have to be told as a kid, hey, you can't murder, you can't, do all these things that are against the law. You don't have to learn these things intellectually. You learn these things from internal convictions. The moral law, I would say, through our conscience, through the way that God created us to live. We have a sense of right and a sense of wrong. The problem with most of the laws the government passes is that they're administrative laws. They're not violating the moral code, so we don't know if we violate them. It's not something that's written internally on our hearts, this moral code. It's something that's some administrative law that could be different in a different state or a different part of the world and not be, it could be the complete opposite. And so breaking those laws are not the same thing. What I'm getting to is that the folks, there is something to be said where Trump says, look, these are people who have come in, they are part of a group who has an identity, who has, this is their identity. They are a gang. They are violent. They are doing bad things, and they don't need to be here. There shouldn't be games played with our legal system to jump through the hoops to keep those people here. Those people are not the sorts of people this country is trying to welcome in here. Those people are dangerous to our citizens, and we need them out of here. And if the law doesn't allow for it today, there should be a law that allows for the sorts of things Trump is trying to do. He's trying to find a way to get this done. He's arguing that this Alien Enemies Act of 1798 gives him that authority. Of course, the left and the media question this because they're constantly on the side of the gang members, of the illegal aliens, and not of the American people. I have to take a break, my friends. Sit tight. You're listening here to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Hello, it's your favorite president telling Todd Huff listeners about Mega Milk Protein Powder. That's what we're calling it, Mega Milk. It's protein for patriots, okay? American-made MAGA milk destroys dad bods and builds a big, beautiful wall of MAGA muscle on your entire body. So true. Don't buy protein made in China. You'll be a total disaster, a weak loser. Your workouts are winning. Drink MAGA milk. Go to MAGAmuscle.com and put some Trump in your pump. MAGAmuscle.com.
At FurnitureMadeInUSA.com, we provide beautiful chairs, rockers, stools, and tables handcrafted by skilled American artisans in North Carolina since 1924. With every purchase, you're supporting American businesses, American workers, and their families. Don't just buy furniture. Invest in a piece of American history. Shop now at FurnitureMadeInUSA.com.
Welcome back, my friends. The left, Democrat Party, the media, sounds an awful lot like Nicolas Maduro, the socialist dictator of Venezuela. You know, recently, I can't remember where we were when we had the Uber driver. Was that Florida? We were in Florida with an Uber driver, and he was from Venezuela. He was from Venezuela, telling us the story. He can't go back home, by the way. He is one of the targets, I guess, of Maduro. But Maduro from Venezuela, who gave America Tren de Aragua, headline here, Breitbart News, socialist Venezuela compares Trump deporting Tren de Aragua thugs to the Holocaust. That's right, my friends. Insanity is running amok here around the world. The Maduro regime has, on Sunday, condemned President Donald Trump's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport suspected members of Tren de Aragua terrorist organization, comparing it to slavery and Nazi concentration camps. Now, this was posted on Instagram, it looks like. It might have been posted elsewhere. It's posted in Spanish. Let's see. I'm going to read a bit of this from the article. The Maduro regime, which caused what is largely described as the worst migrant crisis in the Western Hemisphere, a direct consequence of the collapse of Venezuela's socialist economy, asserted in its statement that the Venezuelan migrants in question left their country for, quote, economic reasons that were a consequence of the hardships created for our people by the criminal blockade of our economy imposed by Western governments against the entire Venezuelan society in order to perpetrate their plans for regime change in Venezuela. Yes, my friends, that sounds like something you would hear coming out of the Democrat Party playbook today. I mean, as it pertains to Trump. Trump, January 6th, staged an insurrection to establish himself as the permanent president and king of the United States. They're trying to engage in regime change in the United States, blah, blah, blah. All leftists, my friends, live in the delusional world of misinformation and propaganda. The statement said this: the vast majority of migrants are hardworking, dignified, and honest men and women, not terrorists, not criminals, not foreign enemies. They are victims, according to the statement. Stop the presses. This is clearly defined. These are men. These are males who are 14 years and older who are known to be members of the Tren de Aragua gang. Those folks, let me say this. Well, they might be hardworking. I don't know about hardworking in the sense of hardworking at crime and violence. But they're not dignified. They're not honest. They're not women. This is also in the statement. They are terrorists. They are criminals. They are foreign enemies. It's the exact opposite. It is truly the bizarro universe here, which of course is common with Maduro's regime. Maduro says that they're victims. These folks are not victims. They are perpetrators. They are foreign enemies. They are criminals. And yes, my friends, they are terrorists. This is evil. This gang is absolutely evil. The statement continues, Venezuela rejects the persecution against our nationals, the expropriation of their personal property, assets, businesses, vehicles, bank accounts. Likewise, we strongly denounce that our compatriots in the United States are being subjected to persecution in their workplaces, schools, churches, hospitals, and public spaces. This sounds like either a statement written by, they must have consulted the Hamas PR agency. They must have consulted the PR firm for the Democrat Party, because this sounds like the same old nonsense. With deep indignation, it continues, we repudiate the threat of kidnapping of minors under 14 years of age. I wonder, by the way, Mr. Maduro, did you repudiate the kidnapping and the violence that your Tren de Aragua gang members have been inflicting on others? I didn't get that statement. Nevertheless, he continues here, never before in history, not in history, my friends, has an official document gone to the extreme of attempting to summarily classify children as members of terrorist groups who are considered criminals for the mere fact of being Venezuelan. This is all fake, false. No. Let me tell you, this guy that was our cabbie in Florida, or Uber driver or whatever it was, he's not at risk here of being deported. The crime is not being Venezuelan. This is so tired and so overdone. The identity politics nonsense. This is about gangs. This is about violence. This is about our security. The left eats this stuff up, though. This is the left's language. Just as they tried, it continues, to obtain political gain from the suffering they inflicted on the people through sanctions, they are responsible for the creation of a criminal network of coyotes who, in exchange for the money of humble Venezuelan men and women, took many of our compatriots to different countries, including the United States. This thing just rambles on and on and on. It ends here by saying what? This is not only an attack against Venezuela, it is a dangerous precedent against our entire region. The unity and solidarity of America is the only possible response to this attempt of segregation, persecution, and massive dispossession. All of Venezuela demands respect for its migrants and their families. The political opposition is silenced down there. All of Venezuela wants out from underneath your heavy hand, Mr. Maduro. To be lecturing the United States of America. You're the one who permitted these gang members, heck, probably encouraged these gang members to make their way up to the United States of America. This is not about being Venezuelan. This is about being criminal. This is about being evil. This is about protecting the United States of America and her citizens from what is common sense, right? Well, protecting people who are doing things that common sense dictates that we should want to try to stop. And that's what this is about. What a pathetic, silly bunch of hogwash, my friends. All right. Taking a breather there, let me tell you really quickly, now that I've got a moment here, let me tell you about Solti. Solti is an all-natural supplement. It is from enriched green tea. It is all natural. Science has spoken on this, and research has determined that this product can help lower cholesterol. It's done it for people, and it might be able to help you as well. So if you have high cholesterol, if you're concerned about your heart health, if you're at a certain age where you think, hey, I just want to be proactive about this, and let me tell you, time flies, my friends. If you're not to that age in your mind yet, you might want to think, maybe I can start a few years early on taking care of myself, because things do change as you age. And maintaining our health is one of the most important things that we have, that we try to maintain and hold on to. So I take the product. I think you should consider taking the product. Go to Soltea.com, SOLTEA. That's the website. Use promo code TODD. You're going to get 50% off your first 3-month supply. This is very affordable. It comes down to, with that 50% discount, it's under $10 or right at $10 a month for a 3-month supply. You're going to get free shipping. You can test the product. All you have to do is take 2 Soltea soft gels a day. Some people are able to take their cholesterol levels before this first 3-month regimen and then after. Do that if you want. But this is a great way to take care of yourself, of your heart health, take care of your family, to stay active, just to be involved and to help us push forward together to fight against this lunacy we're having to fight here in the United States of America. Soltea.com, SOLTEA, promo code TODD, gets you those discounts and the free shipping. All right, so going to wrap up this segment. I want to tell you, in the next segment, there is a politician in France who wants the Statue of Liberty. I'm not making this up. He's told the United States that he wants the Statue of Liberty back, and I want to go into this. It also leads me to another story about actor John Cusack, who is out there celebrating leftists burning down Tesla dealerships. We talked about that. That would have been this week or last week? Time flies here. I think that might have been, I don't know, recently. So I want to talk about that because that, ironically, has to deal with the Statue of Liberty as well. We'll get to those things on the other side of the break. My friends, sit tight. You are listening to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, the one and only Todd Huff, back here in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Tired of store-bought produce? Ever dreamed of growing your own healthy food but worried about space? Exo Hydroponics is a perfect solution. Exo Hydroponics is a family-owned business run by a mother and daughter team. Their innovative Exo Tower lets you grow up to 28 plants indoors or out, using less than 2 square feet. Visit exotowers.com today and start your journey to growing fresh organic food at home. That's exotowers.com.
Hello, it's your favorite president telling Todd Huff listeners about Mega Milk Protein Powder. That's what we're calling it, Mega Milk. It's protein for patriots, okay? American-made Mega Milk destroys dad bods and builds a big, beautiful wall of mega muscle on your entire body. So true. Don't buy protein made in China. You'll be a total disaster, a weak loser. Your workouts are winning. Drink Mega Milk. Go to megamuscle.com and put some Trump in your pump. megamuscle.com.
Welcome back, my friends. Third final segment of the second hour of the program. As always, if you miss any part of this show, and I will excuse it if you've got a note from a doctor or something like that, but if you miss any part of this program, you can listen on the website, toddhuffshow.com. You can also listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you would listen to podcasts. And eventually, we've got our Rumble channel on hold as we're working through some tech issues, but you'll be able to watch the program on our Rumble channel. If you could follow us there, that would be fantastic as well. All right, so really quickly here, my friends, we're going to move into what I shared at the beginning or at the end of last segment, which is France, at least one politician there, wants to take back the the Statue of Liberty. That's what he's out there talking about, my friends. And so before we get to that, let me just tell you that if you've listened to this program, I think it's important to support companies that share our values. And that's why I love MyPillow. They're not just making great products, which they are. They're also standing up for American jobs, American values, and, of course, American comfort. From their patented pillows to their plush towels and ridiculously comfortable slippers, which Oz has on again this morning. MyPillow has something for everyone. In fact, they've got dog beds. Our dogs have a MyPillow dog bed that they like as well. So these aren't just products, my friends. They're investments in your well-being. Sleep better, wake up refreshed, feel great all day long. Go to MyPillow.com, use promo code Todd for some amazing discounts. MyPillow.com, promo code Todd. Don't just buy a product, my friends. Support a cause. Sleep better, live better, stand for what matters. MyPillow.com, promo code Todd. All right, let's look at this crazy narrative here, this crazy story from the left. Yet again, AP story. From France comes a call for Trump's America to return Lady Liberty. Here's why it won't happen. That's the headline. Well, no kidding, it's not going to happen. Does anybody out there think that we're going to return the Statue of Liberty to France? I know that Trump makes bold actions and bold statements, but this ain't going to happen. Statue of Liberty has become, a symbol of the United States. I mean, this is a symbol that represents our heritage. Now, of course, this French politician says that we've deviated from those and it should be returned because we don't stand up for those things anymore because we voted for Donald Trump. This is just tried and pathetic messaging. I'm going to read a portion of this. Paris AP, hey America, give the Statue of Liberty back to France. So says a French politician who is making headlines in his country for suggesting that the U.S. is no longer worthy of the monument that was a gift from France nearly 140 years ago. As a member of the European Parliament and co-president, that tells me all I need to know, of a small left-wing party in France, Raphael Glucksmann cannot claim to speak for all of his compatriots, but his assertion in his speech this weekend that some Americans, quote, have chosen to switch to the side of tyrants reflects the broad shockwaves that President Trump, Donald Trump's seismic shifts in foreign and domestic policy are triggering in France and Europe elsewhere in Europe. Give us back the Statue of Liberty, Glucksmann said. Glucksmann, whatever it is, speaking Sunday to supporters on his public place party who applauded and whistled. It was our gift to you, but apparently you despise her. So she will be happy here with us. Oh yes, that's what Glucksmann wants to do, is to reclaim the Statue of Liberty. I don't know. Who would France give it to today? Would they give it to North Korea? I don't know. Iran? Would they give it to the Palestinians? I mean, I don't know who France thinks they're going to give. This is one lunatic guy. It's silly, silly stuff. But that's, of course, what he's saying. This also led me, just to wrap up things that were in the stack of stuff today, this also reminded me of another story, which I alluded to last segment. This is at HollywoodInToto.com. John Cusack celebrates leftist burning Tesla dealerships. He basically posted on his social media account. This would have been after he had a piece of Hitler art that had, if you can envision this, it's got the Hitler hairdo, and then it's got two of the X logo for the company formerly known as Twitter for the eyeballs, and then the Tesla symbol that represents the nose, mouth area. He posted that. But he also posted an image of the Statue of Liberty standing beside a Tesla dealership, looking down, and then holding the torch directly out in front of her, causing the Tesla dealership to erupt into flames. So this is the left today. They're defending the Tesla dealerships. I'm sure Cusack is all about us sending the Statue of Liberty back to France. This is silly. This is petulant behavior. This is the best that they've got. Where is the real opposition here? It's nowhere to be found, my friends. It's nowhere to be found at all. There's no real substantive opposition here. It's all about virtue signaling. It's all about insanity, defending people burning down Tesla dealerships, probably supporting the call for us to send the Statue of Liberty back to France. I want to hear Trump's response to this. He might say, we need a new one. No, we're not sending you the old one. Send us a new one. Anyway, folks, I got to go. Thanks for listening. SDG.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Take the guesswork out of gourmet. Playhouse Spices gives you a leg up weapon in the kitchen. Playhouse Spices elevates your cooking with gourmet, handcrafted blends made with clean, healthy ingredients. Explore exciting flavors and become a masterful home chef. Visit PlayhouseSpices.com and use code TODD for 20% off your first order over $50. Playhouse Spices. Seek, explore, taste. That's PlayhouseSpices.com.